Good evening, everyone. Welcome from Atlanta, Georgia. Let me get rid of this iPhone. Hopefully that's better now. My name is Dawn Calvert. Welcome to our Thursday night webinar. Dale will be here shortly, just getting things rolling here. Again, my name is Dawn Calvert. Dale will be here momentarily. We appreciate everyone's time tonight. We've got a great webinar for you. The title of it is 2 Universal Entrepreneur Killers and How to Annihilate Them. If you're joining us tonight from Facebook or YouTube or our usual Crowdcast crowd, we welcome all of you. Again, we do appreciate your time. Dale understands the value of everyone's time, and he really appreciates everyone being here. Let's see who all we have with us tonight. Doug from Atlanta, welcome. Jens Lynn, welcome. We have Asborn. Both of our friends from Norway are on tonight. Is it Tosin? Welcome. Sylvia White, good to see you here. Mary Robinson. Maria Benegas. Cindy and John Donahue. Mark Tuttleman. Antoinette from Atlanta, welcome. Scott Cody, Larry Gavette, Trudy, how you doing? Chris Dietz, all our regulars, Michelle Eves, Jennifer Graves. Welcome, welcome everyone. Great to have you here. I'm going to go over a few quick announcements before Dale gets here. So let me just switch over to our slides and we will get rolling. Okay, again, welcome everyone. My name is Dawn Calvert. I'm Dale's wife, and we just want to welcome you to Dale Calvert's Thursday night No Fluff training webinar. I'm just going to go over a few quick announcements, and Dale will be here in just a few minutes. This is a great topic for you tonight, entitled 2 Universal Entrepreneur Killers and How to Annihilate Them. Before you listen to Dale or anyone else, he would just encourage you to ask, who is this person and why should I be listening to them? Dale is a generic trainer with over 35 years in the industry. He's not currently an active distributor with any company, nor does he ever plan to be again. He quit building teams in early 2000, and along with network marketing support services, Dale and I operate 4 different businesses with a staff of 9 people. He started in the business when he was just 20 years old, living in this little 600 square foot home, and he was driving this Chevette. And I don't know if you can read this little, well, you probably can't. This little gold plaque underneath his car says, "Never forget." And we were just in Kentucky this week, and each time we're there, we do drive by this little home that's still there, because he just always likes to remember where he's come from, where he's been, and he truly never forgets the road that he's traveled. But eventually he was able to build this 16,000 square foot home in Lexington where his daughters grew up. And this is Dale sitting on his Dodge Viper along with a couple of team members. And he eventually built his business to over 60,000 distributors with an annual income of $3.8 million. He basically took a lot of what he'd learned and over the last 15 years has been teaching network marketers how to build their teams systematically with systems that can be duplicated by anyone. And you can learn more about Dale and his trainings if you click on this link at mlmhelp.com. His story, Power of a Dream, can be downloaded there for free. Next weekend, Dale and I will be in the Los Angeles, California area. If you're in the area, we would love to see you there. The company that Dale is speaking for is holding a closed business presentation on Friday night, May 19th, but on Saturday, the 20th, it is open to everyone. So if you're in the area, Dale would love to shake your hand, and we would love to see you. We're actually going to be at the Hilton in Downey, California. Congratulations to Asborn Ohms. He is our most recent training club graduate, 18 months to MLM Success Mastery. And Asborn, as well as Jens, both of them are very, very involved in the training club and active with Dale's groups. They are both from Norway, and I think they're both on here tonight. I've seen them both comment. So Asborn, congratulations to you, and Dale has really enjoyed working with you over the last 18 months, as well as Jens. So I think that's it for the announcements. Dale will be here in just a couple of minutes, and we will get started. Thanks for being here, everyone.
Good evening, everybody. I appreciate you being here. My hope is that tonight we'll get a good recording, because I know that what I want to share with you guys tonight, you're going to need throughout your network marketing career. There's going to be multiple people on your team. They're going to need to hear this. And I have no doubt that many of you need to hear it tonight for yourself. So I'm excited about this information from that standpoint. The hurdles that we have to get through in this business are basically all the same. We all travel the same road. Over the last year and a half or so, we've done multiple questionnaires, talked to a lot of people. I've been doing this for over 35 years, and it just kind of is what it is. And a lot of times people think that they're different, or it's harder for them for whatever reason. It's different here, Dale, than it is there. It's a different, after doing this going on 4 decades, it's like every decade, yeah, Dale, but it was different. It was different in the 80s. It was different in the 90s. It was different whenever. And the reality in this business model, the real product is people. It always has been, and it always will be. So the two biggest killers, especially for people when they first get started, without question, people that join your team. And again, this is from just thousands and thousands of conversations and surveys, and been doing this for a long, long time. And the thing that you're going to have to deal with as leaders and understand is, number one, is fear of failure. People feel like if I don't give it all I've got, then I won't be a failure because I didn't really try that hard. How many times, if you've been around very long at all, have you heard, well, I've been in so many different companies, but I never really got serious until now? And so it's an escape. It's a not wanting to take on responsibility. It's human nature. And guys, this doesn't just apply to this business model. It applies to all business models, all solopreneurs, many entrepreneurs. But it's fear of failure and then fear of rejection. Those are the two emotions. And I know a lot of you tonight are dealing with that. It's normal. I certainly did. And you know, I think about this. I can't remember really throughout my childhood, if you said, Dale, where would you rank as regarding fear of failure or fear of rejection? 10 meaning major fear and 1 meaning zero fear. I would say throughout my childhood and teenage years, I would say I was probably a 3 or maybe even a 2. But when I got involved in this profession, all that changed. That whole fear really almost paralyzed me in my first 2 or 3 years in this business. So there's a lot of you tonight, you've got this under control. You've already worked through this fear of failure, fear of rejection emotion. You understand what it is. You know how to deal with it. You've got control of your self-talk. And, you know, like everybody, you have your good days and your bad days. But overall, you've progressed and moved forward unbelievably in this area. And for those of you that I'm describing tonight, the thing that I would like for you to think about is self-limiting beliefs. Self-limiting beliefs. And, you know, there's some of you that the plateau is very real in this profession. And I was talking with the company owner yesterday, and the biggest challenge that they're facing is they have a lot of people that are very comfortable. You know, they're making maybe $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month, and they're very comfortable. And, you know, we had a long conversation about this. But the reality, and I can tell you without exception, that the thrill really is in the journey. It's not the destination. It's not the destination. It is the journey. And Helen Keller said, hell starts when the person you are meets the person you could have become. And you guys have unbelievable upside potential. If you're involved in the network marketing business model, unbelievable upside potential, more than you can even comprehend. And I just want to warn you of the plateau and warn you of self-limiting beliefs. You know, maybe you could become one of the top 10 money earners in your company. Maybe you could become the #1 money earner. And when I talk about that, my mind translates it to, if you're a top 10 money earner, what that means to me is you've helped a lot of people move forward in their life and in their business. So what happens, and what I've seen over the years, is a lot of times people that have fear of failure, fear of rejection, they want to call it something else. They want to say, well, Dale, I just don't have enough time. Dale, I just don't have this. Dale, I don't have that. The company doesn't do this. And the reality is, it's just fear of failure, fear of rejection, self-doubt. A lot of you have people on your teams, they're telling you they don't have this and they don't have that, and if only the company would add this, then they would really get serious and move forward. But fear of failure is fear of failure. You know, last week was the Kentucky Derby. I don't know if you guys saw that. But I used to give the example, over the years, I've sponsored some people, everything looked perfect. And they would get in the starting gate like they do at the Kentucky Derby. The bell rings, the starting gate opens, and they stand there. They will not run. They will not move forward. And again, guys, this has been throughout history. And you know, if your team leader sent you to this, and maybe you're watching this recording, be thankful first of all that you have a leader that recognized where you are and sent you here. But understand you're not alone. Fear of failure, fear of rejection has been a major stumbling block to success of people for many, many, many years. And a lot of great minds have talked about it. And this is William Shakespeare, as you see on the screen. Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. Mark Twain said, courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not the absence of fear, not the absence of fear. Nelson Mandela said, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. And I guess probably the main thing that I want to communicate tonight, if you're feeling that, is it can be conquered. I've conquered it. Many people on with us tonight have conquered this. And again, we all have good days and bad days, but fear does not dictate the action or lack of that we have on a daily basis. I love this. Will Smith said, fear's not real. It is a product of thought you create, thought that you create. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. I mean, that's to me is just so powerful. Marilyn Monroe said, we should all start to live before we get too old. Fear is stupid. So are regrets. And, you know, I believe in a lot of ways. Some of you have heard me talk about the concept of wistful regret in the past. And I believe in a lot of ways, the only choices we have is to overcome fear or live with regrets. And I know this is kind of hard, you know, tonight, but it is what it is. And not to confront it is not doing anybody any good. There is no magic foo-foo dust. There is no magic potion. There is no magic lead generation system or funnel system or anything else that's going to create success in network marketing, and especially in network marketing, because it really is helping people move forward in every aspect of their life. When you focus on building people, people will build the business. Now, overcoming fear quotes are some of the most common on social media, and there's a reason for that, because it's something that everybody deals with at some level. So I'll just share a couple that we pulled. You know, decide that you want it more than you are afraid of it. I found this, and I saw somebody this week on the training club had put this, or one of our private sites had put this up. It may have been the Programming Your Mind group, but it is so true. And see, these are easy to quote, and they make logical sense to everybody. Overcoming fear. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. That's awesome. I love these little awesome sayings because they're so true. Your largest fear carries your greatest growth. That's strong. Don't let your fear of what could happen make nothing happen. Fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. Zig said, the only difference between a big shot and a little shot is a big shot's a little shot that kept on shooting. So true. Now, another key point that I want to make tonight is you can't stop being afraid just pretending everything that scares you isn't there. You can't stop being afraid to follow up with people and doing the activities that are necessary for success in this business model, you can't stop thinking about it or pretend like you can do it without doing that. You're in the leadership development business. You know, if you're going to achieve your long-term income potential, you need a team. To get a team, you have to communicate with people. When you communicate with people, you're going to have to deal with a lot of different things. So that's just the way it is. Acting like it doesn't exist or think that you can do something that's comfortable for you and you'll build a huge team is not smart. Again, Albert Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. It's not going to happen. And some of you can think, well, Dale, why did you put this picture on here? I don't know. I just found it on my computer and I thought it was cool. It has nothing to do with my training. So based upon what we've shared up to this point, if you are dealing with fear of failure, fear of rejection, or self-limiting beliefs, I want you to understand you're not alone. Everybody goes through this process, this path, and the quality of our life is in direct proportion to the quality of questions that we ask ourselves and then answer them truthfully. So with that said, what is the real question you should be asking yourself tonight? Now, I'm just going to give you a second to think about it. But if fear of failure, fear of rejection is an issue, which it is for many of the people that enter the network marketing business model, and if you've worked through that, then you have to constantly be looking at what are your self-limiting beliefs. You don't have fear of failure, fear of rejection necessarily, but you probably do have self-limiting beliefs. So if that's all true and that all makes sense, then what questions should you be asking yourself tonight? And if you're thinking, what am I going to do about it? Yes, Dale, I have fear of failure, fear of rejection. Yes, Dale, I have limiting beliefs. The real question is, first of all, accepting it is healthy. It's very healthy. And then it's like, okay, what am I going to do about it? Because if you don't do something about it, they're not going to go away on their own. It's not going to happen. It's always going to be coming back to bite you. Always. I know people that have been around the network marketing profession for years and years and years. And the fear of failure, fear of rejection elephant in the room has been holding them back the entire time. And I may be talking to some of you tonight, and that's okay. It's normal. It's been that way for people throughout history. So what are you going to do about it? So I think the first thing we need to understand is we're dealing with two things here. We're not just dealing with programming. We're also dealing with the DNA that all of us as human beings have. We'll talk about programming first. We all have programmed perceptions about life, relationships, where we fit in the world, and the list goes on and on and on. They were formed usually by the time we're 12, 13, 14 years old, sometimes younger than that, by parents, society, and authority figures. We all have programmed perceptions. So that's the first thing we have to understand. We must act in accordance to our program. Many, many people have talked about this, all kinds of great information about this concept, this idea that we act in accordance with our program. The other thing that we're dealing with, for fear has two meanings. When you're doing what you should be doing to move forward in your business and your life, and you get uncomfortable or fearful, you can either forget everything and run or face everything and rise. Identify, this is what I'm feeling. This is why I'm feeling it, but I will get through this. I will bring this into my comfort zone. And I'm going to have people that are going to need to get through this and bring it in their comfort zone as well. Other people have done it. Average people with above average desire have got through this. If they've done it, then I can do it. This helped me early in my career. I can't remember where I originally heard it, but fear is really false evidence appearing real. I can remember early, scared to death to pick up the phone and follow up with people that had actually responded to my advertising campaign. They had contacted me and asking me for more information, and I was scared to follow up with them. The phone scared me to death. I never have felt comfortable on the phone. It took me a while to get past that. But part of it was understanding every time I made a phone call, when I got off, it was never as bad as I envisioned it was going to be in my own mind. And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. False evidence appearing real. It's time to annihilate fear. Because if you don't take it on head on, it's not going to go away on its own. And the first step to overcoming fear is acknowledging it and then understanding again what it really is. We talk about program perceptions. Talked about that many times in other webinars that some of you have been with us on. So the other thing is we have to understand that it's in our DNA to fight or flight. When we feel uncomfortable, we hear a large bang, we hear a large noise, our natural instinct is to fight or flight. So we all have program responses to different things that happen within the everyday flow of this business, and the people that can work through it logically and understand, the mindsets necessary and get through it are the ones that ultimately win. You've invested your time tonight, or if you're watching the recording. And again, I would ask you, okay, Dale, I get it, I understand it. And my question again would be, so, okay, we got it, we understand it, it's common, everybody, most all people go through this, 97% of the population, I believe. So the real question is, what are we going to do about it? What can you do about it? See, identifying the problem and talking about it isn't going to help anybody, and I understand that. So I'm just going to give you 2 or 3 suggestions. And I hope that you will implement. I hope you'll take some time and really think about conquering this. If fear of failure, fear of rejection is something that you need to deal with, then I hope that you will deal with it, because it's not going to go away. Now, this is closed, but we have a program called Programming Your Mind for Success. It's at programmingyourmind.com. If you want to know whenever we reopen that, you can get on the notification list at that website, Programming Your Mind. Some of you tonight are going through this program. Some of you tonight started this program. I've had people that I've worked with over the years that started it 3, 4, 5 times. But they got through it. And the beautiful thing about it, if you have this, it's all online, so you can access it as you need to, when you need to. And I know some of you have not missed one day of the scrolls since you started. And again, I'm not going to try to explain what all that means. But again, programming your mind. We must act in accordance to our program. We are all programmed. We're all programmed. If I started naming fast food jingles, you could all repeat them. because it's programmed in your mind, and we must act in accordance to our program. So number one, if you're involved in that program, stay on it. It's the most important thing you can do on a daily basis for every aspect of your life. And I sincerely, with everything in me, believe that. I actually had this conversation with Scott this week. Many of you know Scott Lucas works with us. And I said, this is the most important thing I've ever done in my life, was this program and understanding this. So that would be number one. Number two, become conscious of your own fearful self-talk, the internal conversation you have with yourself. And a simple technique that we teach in the program in your mind, and many of you have heard me talk about this at different times over the last year and a half or so, or some of you have been hearing me talk about this for 30 years. It's the cancel technique. When you catch yourself telling yourself something that's not empowering you as a person, as a business person, as a leader within the network marketing profession or whatever business you're involved in, and that's not a good thought, say cancel. Literally say it out loud and replace it with the positive. Cancel. They are going to join my team because they know joining me would be a great move for them in their future. They are joining my team. Telling yourself what you want to happen and stifling your internal conversation, constantly programming your mind about what you don't want to happen. Number three, and I'm going to wrap it up. Here's a couple of books. You can probably find them on Amazon for a penny. I've recommended them forever, it seems like. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, Dr. Shad Helmstetter, phenomenal book. The 7-Day Mental Diet by Emma Fox, real little tiny book, The 7-Day Mental Diet is, and it's fabulous. They're both just fabulous books to help you get your mind wrapped around this truth. And again, it'll help you in every aspect of your life, every aspect. So those will be my 3 suggestions. Guys, if you have any questions, you can, and also if you haven't completed the poll, right below your screen, you'll see questions. You can click on that. If you have any questions you want me to cover tonight, I'm going to do that. Be happy to do that. If you see a question you'd like for me to cover, you can just click on it and vote it up. And then if you haven't filled out the survey, please do that. Many of you that are with us live tonight, I know you're on the right track. And just stay on the right track. Many of you I know have overcome these negative self-talk, fear of failure, fear of rejection. And my only suggestion to you would just be to constantly challenge yourself to think bigger. Constantly challenge yourself to think bigger. What the mind can conceive and believe, you can achieve. And again, that's, as many of you know, from Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. So I want to mention this, and I'm about to wrap up, and I'll get to your questions. But be aware of limiting beliefs. Be aware. Limiting beliefs, for me, is a concept that I really never heard about until maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And I mean, it's not that I didn't know that they existed, but it was not something that I heard about or really had heard or read anything about. Limiting beliefs, because limiting beliefs are different from fear of failure, fear of rejection. I literally have no fear of failure, fear of rejection today. I don't. I just don't have it. I don't feel it. And sometimes I have to stop and try to go back, because I constantly try to go back and try to remember you know, when I was 20 years old, when I started in this business, and the emotions and everything that surrounded it. So that's what I'm constantly trying to communicate and never forget, like Don showed you earlier. But, you know, I coasted for 15 years. The network marketing business model is something that's always been my bread and butter, but it was nothing that I really, network marketing support services was not something that I wanted to take on. You know, I just wasn't. And many of you know, August 2015, we shut down 90% of our websites. We started producing podcasts. We started doing these webinars every single week because something happened to me August of 2015. And a lot of that, a lot of my coasting, and I was learning and having fun and doing different businesses, and, you know, for 15 years. But network marketing support services was just what's so programmed into me. And so it's just it's who I am. It was easy. I could go speak. I could talk about network marketing for days straight about any subject because I've analyzed it from every aspect. And I love people, and I love the thought process of people and how people come to conclusions and create their program. All that's fascinating to me. But part of the limiting belief for me was being in the middle of the profession and watching the industry shift from the foundational principles that created growth to constant foo-foo dust and shortcuts. And I kind of watched, in my opinion, the wolves in sheep's clothing kind of take over the profession. And it's like they're all in cahoots. And I'm not going to forget it. It's not worth it. You know, I mean, it's just, I'm not going to try to take that on. Makes no sense from a business standpoint, from a time standpoint, or anything else. And there were some limiting beliefs there. And for me, as far as putting time, energy, and effort into network marketing support services after coasting for 15 years. But when I knew this is what I'm supposed to be doing, then I said, okay, I'm going to give it a year. And then after a year, I said, you know what? I'm going to give it 5 years. And I know I can give it 5 years. I believe that I can focus the rest of my life to this profession because of the impact it has on every aspect of people's life. I believe that, but I know I can I've got 3.5 more years to my commitment. And I'm not going to slow down or shut up until, you know, I'll reevaluate at that time. But so I understand limiting beliefs from that standpoint. And again, you guys know, a lot of you know the process over the last 1.5 years. So some of you have limiting beliefs and you may not even realize that you have them. And I would ask you to think about that over the weekend. Another thing I wanted to share with you guys, this just was released today, and it's at momhelp.podbean.com is the easiest way to access it. I know a lot of you have this on your iPhones or your smartphones, and you listen to the couple podcasts that we have every single week, and I appreciate your support there. But this is something that I hope, especially those of you that are members of the MM Training Club and the Network Marketing Leadership Development Academy, will take some time this weekend and listen to this session. It's session number 5757. So I wanted to remind you that before I take questions. The replay will be at MM Success Webinar, and within an hour after we're done tonight, the overheads, everything I've covered tonight will be on the Facebook page at facebook.com/Dale Calvert. As always, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your comments on our blog. Your input helps me more than I can communicate. It sincerely does. And I appreciate those of you that, leave reviews for us after you buy our Amazon products, those of you that are on our podcast or blog, anything social media, those of you that share out this webinar every week. All that means more than I can communicate to you from many different aspects, not just for me personally, but for the growth in the future of everything that we're doing, which I believe ultimately comes back to you individually. I sincerely do. So I'm going to take questions. Let me switch back over here. And what did Dawn tell me to do? She's saying, Dale, please. Cool. Oh, hope you guys had a good week. All right, let's see what we have here as far as questions. And first, let's look at the survey because I'm just curious. The poll. I only added one question tonight. What's your biggest business fear? Fear of failure, fear of rejection. 80% of you guys said fear of failure, fear of rejection. 80%. 4 said fear of letting my sponsor or upline down. 3 people said fear that I don't know enough about the compensation plan paid, how it pays. And 4 of you said fear of not knowing about enough about my products or service. Okay, fear of failure, fear of rejection. Hopefully we've covered that for you tonight. And as Willy Wonka said, okay, what are you going to do about it? I've given you a couple of books, something that you got to focus on because it's not going to happen like that. The rest of these, I think we can make it happen like that for you. Fear of not knowing about your products. If you're communicating with a potential customer or a distributor, here's all you have to do, and it's fine to do this. I'm not sure. This is how you answer a question that you don't know how to answer about your products or your compensation plan. I'm not sure, but I'll find out for you. I'll find out for you. That's all you have to do. Then you can go upline. You can find somebody that can answer that question about the product. As far as the compensation plan, the only time that should ever come up, somebody asking about the compensation plan, is after your play 2. And those of you that understand the 5 core fundamentals, in the recruiting process, the 2-step recruiting process, create curiosity, then share the whole story. And then after they've heard the whole story, then what questions do I need to answer for you before we get you started? And at that point, if a question comes up during that process, you can say, well, hold on just a second. I'll get somebody on the phone that can answer that for you. And you should have 3 or 4 people in your upline that can take your call and answer that question. But honestly, you're hardly ever going to have that. If you're doing play 1, play 2, what questions do I need to answer for you before we get you started? Many times after play 1, before they go to play 2, this is important, so hear this. Play 1, before they go to play 2, and they call, and maybe they filled out your lead capture page, and maybe they know you, and then they call you and say, yeah, I watched that. Can you tell me more about how does this work? How do I get paid here? How does that happen? How does this work? What about this bonus pool? What's check match mean? And when that starts happening, if you want to make sure that you stack the odds of success in your favor of that person joining your team, then remember this phrase: hold the questions that'll all be answered for you when you go to the webinar link that I sent you, when you go to the online presentation that I sent you, when you get on the conference call tomorrow night. Hold the questions. Hold the questions. That's a key term, because recruiting is identifying the right people, creating curiosity, enough curiosity that gets them to play two, where they can hear the whole story. If you start answering questions before they get to play two, you satisfy their curiosity and they have no reason to go to your play two. I hope that makes sense, guys. That right there, just really grasping that is really, really important in the recruiting process. And if you're afraid of letting your sponsor or your upline down, if you're afraid of that, and I want you to hear me, you got to identify what are your reasons. What are your top 3 reasons? Why are you doing the business? What do you want to happen for you, your family, your financial future? You cannot build this business to support somebody else. You can use the products. You can be a great customer, and I'm sure they appreciate that, and they should, and that's an important part. But a lot of people, excuse me, a lot of people, and I'm going to talk to leaders for a second. Some people are with you and you're trying, and they quit. The reason they quit is because, especially people that you know, is because they don't want to let you down. So it's easier to not move forward than it is to let you down. So you need to recognize that as a leader and let people sell themselves for their reasons on their own time. Some people join you in the beginning just because they know you, like you, and trust you. And as we talked about last week, I don't remember the name of the webinar, but I'm sure it's here on Crowdcast. That's not a good reason for people to join you under any circumstance. It's just not. You can't build a team surrounded by people that are with you because they know you, like you, and trust you. You build teams with people that are sick and tired of being sick and tired. They're career frustrated. They want to make a change and they want to move forward. They are going to create a college fund for their child, no matter what. They will not be denied. That's the people you build with. Okay, let's see what questions we have. People email me and ask me about the Pete Rose, and that's Pete Rose and Cincinnati Red stuff in the background. And one night, for the fun of it, I'll talk about Pete Rose. But that's what that stuff is. And so somebody said, "Dude, I thought you were a big UK fan." I'm a huge UK fan. You ought to see our UK room at the office. But this is our office, my office in Georgia. My wife lets me put baseball, the big red machine, on the wall. Okay, questions. What's the best thing to do if you have a new team member who's very excited about doing the business but very technically challenged with smartphones, Facebook, etc.? That's a great question. That's a great question. And it's so, and I don't know if it's true. I'm just saying. First of all, I want to know if that's really true. And if that's really true, it's like, what do you want to learn first? And you want to learn how to use your smartphone first. Here's what I would do if it's really true, they need to get a smartphone, and I would find a YouTube video or tell them to go to YouTube and search how to use your smartphone. And I'm sure there's videos there that will walk them right through whatever phone they have. You know, I don't think people definitely need to be on social media in the beginning to get their business launched. I mean, you know, we teach, you know, send one message to social media, and until you get your, you know, your 50 promotions out there, don't do another one, because if you do too much on social media too soon, people are avoiding you at the post office, and the grocery store, and at your church, at your Sunday school class. This is from Mike. Hi, Dale. And guys, anybody that's answered this, I intentionally don't look at your answers because I don't want it. I just want it to. I just want to be able to do it straight and not. No, I don't want to be. It's easier for me to do it that way. Hi, Dale. Is it better to let your leads prospect know the fact that you can't escape the grind is in this business in an effort to set realistic expectations with them, or just let them find out through the course of doing business so we can't hype / convince them in joining the industry? That's an interesting question. Very interesting, Mike. You should never hype it in any way, shape, or form. If they ask me like specific questions, like how much time do I need to spend in this business, then you answer that straight. And you know, for me, ideally it's a minimum of 15 hours we talked about in the past. Or you can do it in 5 if you're very focused and doing only the right things and nothing else. So answer it straight if they have questions. For me to go into, or for me to suggest that you go into a dissertation about, now listen, this is going to be blah, blah, this is going to be really tough, and this is so much in the beginning, I don't see a need for that, to try to talk about the grind. I think you answer questions honestly. I hope that helps. That's an interesting question. Clyde asks, how do I motivate millennials to not wanting everything done for them? My whole philosophy with everybody, whether they're a senior citizen or a millennial, is from that leadership does this. This is a ball. You throw the ball to them. And the first thing you do, and training club members know this, you ask one question and you say, look, we're working with a guy that when he was building, developed more 5, 6, and 7-figure income earners on his personal team than anybody in the world today. Do you want to follow our systems, or do you want to do it on your own? And they say, no, I want to follow your systems. And if that's what they tell you, then you give them the first assignment, as we talk about in dalecalvert.com/core. So this is the relationship that you have with people. You throw the ball, they throw it back. You throw the ball, they throw it back. And this is the relationship all the way until they're at the top of the comp plan, until you get them to a point of delegation. You direct people, coach them. It's a sequence. You direct, and then you move into a coaching mode, then you move into a support mode, and then you want to ultimately get them to a point of delegation. So I wouldn't put up with anybody that wants it all done for them, and I don't care if they're a senior citizen or a millennial. It's not the way you build leaders. You're in the leadership development business. That's the deal. How do we get the downloads for the Start Right CD? If you send an email, to already answered that. Robert Blackman asks, how do you get your team to get a names list to you? That's the first assignment. The first, I got to get me a ball, because I give this example. I'll get me a little UK basketball. But the first thing you do is 50 names we can practice with, and your top 20, top 3 reasons. Understanding that's a hoop for them to jump through. And if they don't jump through the hoop, they aren't going to be one of your 3 people that you're going to find this year to run with. You can lead 1,000, but you can't carry 3 on your back. And again, so that's what I believe. Dale, I have the program in your mind for success, and I thought I heard you say there was a private group. Yes, there is. Greg, send a ticket to support@mlmhelp.com. Scott's already answered that. That's what you need to do, and they'll get you hooked up with that. They'll send you the link and get you set up with it. It's a great group. It's a great group. Dale, you talked last month about how in your last company you sponsored only 5 in your front line, and you stacked the rest of them underneath. Those 5, where is that? You talked about how to build your business that way. Jeff, there's a YouTube video. If you look up Dale Calvert spinning plates, spinning plates concept, you'll find it on YouTube. It's also part of was originally part of the MLM Confessions program, but it's the spinning plates. It's the old juggler. Some of you remember the juggler put the plate up on the pole, and they would get them spinning, and they would have all these different plates spinning. That's where that concept came from. It's a spinning plate concept. Guys, y'all were simple tonight. Simple questions, good questions, awesome questions. I'm going to check one more time. If you have a question, now's the time to do it. And we rolled tonight. That's what I want to try to start doing. I don't see any more questions. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We didn't promote this a lot. Next weekend, we're going to be in California, and I'm not even sure when we're leaving. So I don't know for sure whether we'll be here next Thursday or not, but I'm sure we'll be there, be with you very soon afterwards. I appreciate your all support. I sincerely do. One other thing I just wanted to share with you, because this will help. When you guys log in to register for the webinar, see right to the right, you see that little share button? If you click that, it's easy for you to share this webinar and get it out there, because again, the more people like you that we communicate with, because when people hear what we're doing, and it's just so different from what everybody else is doing, but it makes logical sense. When the right people hear it, they hear it. And so anytime you guys can share like these webinars or whatever, I sincerely appreciate it. It means more. It's going to help all of us, you as well, in the long run. I saw Trudy was on here earlier. Trudy, I want to tell you that I did respond to the support ticket that you had, so check that out. And I think a lot of familiar names, guys. Nathan, I got the book. I got the book today, so I'll be in touch with you as well. Let's see if anybody else on here I need to say something to real quick. Then I'm going to get off of here. Those of you that are watching on YouTube or Facebook, appreciate you being here. You can go to mlmsuccesswebinar.com. That's plural. if you want to be on our notification list for future webinars. Thanks for being here, guys. I'm gonna check one more time because I just want to make sure, and then I'm gonna hop off. Cool, we covered them. Y'all have a great evening. I appreciate you. Have an awesome weekend, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Good night. God bless.